did you foresee a gap or something like that in the market that you thought that nahi, I want to start my own company now?
In India, if you have scanned a document, people think it's digitization. No, scanning documents is scanning. Digitization is what we've done. Right? You can open my portal, go and search for any office building in Pune, and it will tell you the rent that the landlord is receiving there. See, okay, one second. I have to pause. Now, this is the place where, as an Indian, I feel pained, and I want to share my grief to everybody who's listening. America, I've studied in America, I've stayed in America, has 45 metro cities. Big cities, metropolis.
Yeah.
India has only 6 or 7. And an average Hindustani buys one apartment in his lifetime, if he's lucky. Average Hindustani. Okay? If he's lucky, I'm going to say that again. If he's lucky, one house in his lifetime. You cannot make a mistake. You cannot buy, it's expensive.
Welcome to today's episode of Real Estate Journeys. Our today's guest is Mr. Abhishek Gupta. Mr. Abhishek founded CRE Matrix in the year 2016 and is an important figure in real estate data analytics. After working in companies like JLL, Bank of America, he has founded other ventures like IndexTap and FlowTap. Join us as we explore the journey of Mr. Abhishek Gupta. Hello Abhishek, how are you?
I'm great.
It's an honor to host you on my podcast.
Thank you very, very much.
So, since it's called Real Estate Journeys, so how we start is, we start from the beginning of your journey, which is your childhood. Can you tell me something about that?
Oh my God. That back, huh?
Yeah.
So, bred and born in Bombay, schooling in Juhu, where all the Bollywood stars go, and then engineering in Bombay University. Then I did my MBA in United States, worked there for a few years, literally saw the two towers fall in front of my eyes. It was very scary, not impressed at all.
You were in New York?
I was in New Jersey, just across the river. And I go to office in the morning, I see them while having breakfast. When I come back in the evening, they're not there.
Whoa.
Yeah, that is the reaction.
So, after your education, you didn't end up staying in the States?
So there was a very difficult personal reason I came back, because I lost my dad, so wanted to stay with my mom. So I was very young at that time. But when I go back on the hindsight, and if I think it was one of the greatest decisions I took, forcefully or otherwise, because I did pick up an assignment in London with Pru. I did pick up an assignment in Singapore, but coming back to India was the best thing, because India is absolutely rocking now.
Yeah.
And very happy and proud about it, that I did that decision and I'm in India, not getting employment, but giving employment.
Wow.
I cannot explain that feeling in words.
So for your education, what did you do?
Com science. So I'm an engineer, computer science. Pehle saal mein I understood. In the very first year, I understood that I cannot sit in front of the laptop and do coding, right? But as a good, diligent Indian student, I completed my course. And then I did my MBA, because I need people. I need people to draw my energy.
After MBA, you have experience in companies like JLL and others. So, how was your experience over there?
So every assignment I did had a wonderful experience, right? I'll start from the start. My first job was with a pharma company in United States, in New Jersey. And that's the first time I got to understand what is data and why is data important and the power of the same, right? And insurance has pharma first, has a lot of data, right? So I was the medical analyst at this pharma company, responsible for understanding all their drugs and making sure that America has a system wherein if you are poor, American poor, the government picks up the tab partially for your medicine. And they expect the remaining amount to be picked up by the pharma company. Now, this can open up to some issues and fraud, because you need to make sure that what the government is claiming is completely reconciled with your data, right? So I was the analyst to cover the entire country, right? From the west to the east to the north to the south. So that's my first love to data. The second was Prudential. Now that's insurance. Now that's even more data. right? Prudential is 150-year-old company in London. They've got like too much data.
So you were in London then?
I was in London, great city though. So again, data, a lot of it. And then JLL happened, and which is the amazing story because they had no data, right? They just opened shores in India. And when I was hired, I'm coming, and please note, I'm coming from insurance, which has got endless data.
Yeah.
So then I asked them, okay, how much data do you have? They said, we have no data. You have to create data. I said, what is this? Some Harry Potter movie? What do you mean create data? Right?
Yeah.
But long story short, we created data. We created it from beg, borrow, steal. We got data from our friends who are our brokers in JLL. We got data from the market. We got data from our foot soldiers. We collected data from whatever we could and created sense out of those because that's the time FDI opened in 2005.
Yeah.
And the first foreign money came into real estate in India and they wanted to know data. They wanted to know analysis.
True.
Right? So we gave this to them. And then, of course, Bank of America, which again, going back to the stock market, which again has got endless data, but then nothing in real estate, right? Or very little in real estate.
So you were in the real estate division in Bank of America?
Real estate and infra, right? And that's when I closely got to know some developers who had those IPOs come in, right? And the original IPO developers, right? From Mr. Razak to Rajiv Singh, DLF, to Mr. Vikas Oberoi, to Sobha, who else? Godrej, Pirosha. All of these guys, I've probably traveled somewhere in the world trying to raise money for them.
Yeah.
Got to know them personally. Great folks. So yeah, that's been the journey. It's been fantastic.
I'm hearing so much of data. Have you always had a knack about data and data analytics since you were, maybe in your teenage?
So, as a child, I think I was very blessed. My parents, every summer vacation, I would get a new Lego. I would get a new jigsaw puzzle to make. And these kind of things. Not necessarily data.
Okay.
So I don't think I had any fascination or even knew what data is. And this is going back, how old was? I mean, what was that year? 80s and 90s? I don't even know whether that coin, that word, that phrase had come, data is a new oil.
Yeah.
Tabhi oil was the only oil, right? I think data came to me only during my MBA when we did a capstone course or we did some kind of an internship and when I joined the pharma company. Uske pehle it was all about, I think what Jigsaw really taught me, and I say this to every new parent, that you must expose your child to Jigsaw, right? Because it not only helps you with your mind and your hand coordination, and it teaches you a lot of patience. Because there are hours you have sat on the jigsaw mat and you have not even found one piece, right? It teaches you how to control the frustration.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere that helped with data as well. Because when you have so much of data, you need to make sense out of that data.
True.
Now, I can't take that data and dump it on you, right? You'll say, what nonsense is this? Tell me what to do with the data, right? I think that patience, perseverance, the zeal to get it done, I think that probably Jigsaw helped somewhere or the Lego helped somewhere. I don't know, but I think it did.
It gave you an analytical mind, I think.
Analytical mind also got augmented with the engineering, right?
True.
A lot of people say, like my son tells me that you wasted a seat, right? You did an MBA. You don't even do E of engineering now. You don't even know the spelling of computer science. Like, what the hell are you doing? You wasted a seat.
Yeah.
But I said, no, that's not true. Because the 4 years of engineering actually gave me an analytical mind. How does engineers think, right?
True.
And then I topped it up with this whole business acumen on top of it with my MBA, and that became a great combination.
So, did your time in JLL and Bank of America help you, understand real estate investments better?
No, actually no, because we were so busy understanding, collating data. That I think this understanding of investments and all only came when I got a little richer and started putting my own money into investments. That's what I think I really learned it. Just to say it, probably I can. But I think what is the common thread between JLL and Bank of America would be both those companies or those assignments taught me two things, primarily amongst many others. One, how to manage a big team. Very important. Because humans are the most craziest animals.
True.
Right? They have their own tantrums of all kinds. So to manage a team, and now we're managing a more than a 160 member team at CRE Matrix, right? So managing a team was very important. I think that's what I learned there, big time, not so much in America or even in London.
Yeah.
The second was how to do sales, right? Because when we created that product in Jones Lang LaSalle, we had to sell it. So when I was hired first, I was an analyst. Of course, I was called head of research, but we was an analyst. We were creating content for JLL. Okay. And then to the media. So we became the door openers for branding. With me so far?
Yeah.
Then we got greedy. We got more hungry. So they said, now we will create a product that we will sell. And sell it to who? Bankers, investors, right?
Yeah.
Private equity funds. Because they were all investing in India. They wanted to know what's happening in Indian real estate. So we created a product which we sold. And that was my first time a very shy, nice, cool data analyst became a salesperson.
What was the product?
It used to be called REIS, Real Estate Intelligence Service.
Okay.
It was already functional, operating in Australia. My boss told me, go to Australia, learn from them, understand how they do it, get the best practices and create the same in India.
Wow.
Right? So REIS was functional in Singapore, in Australia, maybe Japan, if I'm not mistaken, but not in China and India, not even in Vietnam and all of these, better Asian countries today. We created all the research heads in these different Asian countries, probably created REIS in their respective nations over a period of 3 or 4 or whatever number of years. And India was one of the torch bearers. We did it the fastest. Right? So very proud about that.
So after that, did you foresee a gap or something like that in the market that you thought that, nahi, I want to start my own company now?
Okay. So, a good credit goes to being a marketer. Sabse pehle. Let's get that out of our way, right? Because I was the only one who was doing a job. The entire Gupta clan are all self-employed. Sab apne set hai, right? So somewhere it was there.
Yeah.
Or probably it was, somewhere it was bugging me that why God, even I want to be my own thing. So that's number one. Number two, let's go back to JLL, right? So JLL was a master and an expert in office market. Let's also give them retail, capital markets. Where's housing? Right? If there are, how many malls in Pune? 10? How many offices in Pune? 50,000?
Yeah.
How many houses in Pune? Millions.
True.
So whether you like it or not, housing is the bigger brother in real estate. And if you're not doing housing, you're not doing real estate analytics. Can we just simply agree on this?
Agree.
That's the point. So when I went to Bankcam, I became a client of my own product, REIS. I used to subscribe and pay revenue to, subscription fee to JLL, to whoever my successor was. So that's the time I realized that all of these gentlemen I spoke to, whether it's the Godrej or the Prestige or the Sobha or the Oberois, they were all doing residential. And that was a bigger portion of their development pie.
True.
If you're not doing that, then it's not really helping. I think that was one of the key reasons why we said there's such a big gap in the market. Let's start. And probably that was the germination idea for CRE Matrix.
So once you identify the gap, it is so difficult to get so much of data. How did you do that?
It was difficult.
Yeah.
It is difficult. And I think it'll remain difficult for multiple reasons. Number one, I call my country United States of India. Right? Why? Because land is a state subject, and land and the whole bureaucracy or the whole systems that the government has made is very different for each state. Let alone the language. We'll come to language last. Okay? And that makes it so much more miserable for an analyst like me.
Yeah.
But we'll come to language last. Every state has not implemented RERA in the same fashion. You'll agree with that? Technically it's supposed to. Right?
Yeah.
Modi ji roj bolte rehte hain, but people are not doing it the way they should do it. They should take cues from Maharashtra and actually do it because we've done it brilliantly.
Yeah.
Right? But that's one problem. Second, we get data from 3 sources. One is the foot soldiers, RERA of course, and the registered agreements. And in India, if you have scanned a document, people think it's digitization. No. Scanning documents is scanning. Digitization is what we've done, right? You can open my portal, go and search for any office building in Pune, and it will tell you the rent that the landlord is receiving there, right?
Yeah.
And believe me, and this is like a very, very proud Indian saying this is not even available in Singapore, Japan, and Australia to the same degree that we've done it.
Wow.
I'm serious. And this is coming from a very large MNC company who's a client of ours who has said this to us, right? That what CRE Matrix has done for Indian real estate is not even available in the quote unquote developed nations of Asia.
Wow.
Right?
That's actually amazing.
That is amazing. And I'm personally very proud about it, not only as a CEO of CRE Matrix, but also as an Indian. Right? So, but coming back to your question on how difficult it is. So each state is very different. The technology advancement of the state is different. The ease of getting documents from them is very different. And finally, the language. Now, if I give you Tamil, Telugu, Bengali, Marathi, Gujarati, all of these documents, and I'll give it to you, young man, and you convert them to English for me. How easy or difficult is it for you to do it?
I think the accuracy is going to be the problem.
So we went to Google. The whole world goes to Google.
Yeah.
For you want anything, you go to Google.
Yeah.
So we went to Google, and we said, "Hey Google, convert I don't know.
Tamil or
Let's say Ashwin Rathi. So I'm going to write Ashwin Rathi in Marathi, and I'm going to give it to Google. Google will try to translate Ashwin into English. So let's say Kamal. Kamal is a common name.
Yeah.
What do you think Google will give me back?
Lotus.
Thank you very much. Now, can I give Lotus to you? I have to give you phonetic translation,
Correct.
which is Kamal. Believe me, Google cannot do it. And it only gets more difficult once you get into other scripts, which is Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Bengali, whatever. Google failed. Let me say this in as many words on this podcast. We then had to do all of those amazing things from natural language processing, machine learning, AI, all those beautiful words that you guys talk about all the time on television these days. Sab kuch kiya. And have we gotten better? Have we gotten better at doing it? Yes. Have we completely cracked it? No. We're still learning. Right? We're still making mistakes. So that's the fabric of India. Now, that's the bad part or the difficult part.
Yeah.
But the good part is that if it took us so long to do it, then if some new kid wants to come, it's going to be that much more difficult for him to do it as well.
True.
So we sort of safeguarded from that perspective. So I'm not complaining.
So how did you finally do it?
No, we did. As I said, we are still teaching the machine how to understand Ashwin. And Ashwin is such a beautiful word, right? There's some ridiculous words. Aajkal, when I was growing up, all the buildings used to be called Usha Sadan, Mahavir Nagar. Abhi aap kya naam rakhte ho building ke? Exquisite, Esquire, Altamonte, right? Yeah. All these amazing words. Now, can you please convert Altamonte in Marathi for me?
That's again going to be a challenge.
So first, when the registrar is sitting in the registrar's office, he's going to first convert. Let's just call it, Ashwin is making a new building called Ashwin Altamonte.
Yeah.
With me so far?
Yeah.
Chalo. Abhi the registrar will start writing Ashwin Altamonte in Marathi. And then I have to take his Marathi and convert that back to English. Believe me, it will not be Ashwin Altamonte when it goes and comes back. Just believe me.
I do.
So that's the problem, right? And we are still teaching the machine how to do it better. As I said, we've gotten better, but dilli dur hai. We're still learning. Or we're still teaching the machine rather.
Acha. So is this something which makes you unique from your competitors?
That's a tough question. Am I allowed to say that? I mean, on the podcast? Okay, chalo, theek hai. I think there are multiple things. There are multiple things. If you look at, with all due respect to our competitors, I think the market is large enough to accommodate more players. And what happens is let me give you a parallel. You know how the high streets got built? I'll try and explain. So first Reebok came, right? So now everybody knew that Reebok is on University Road or University, whatever it's called in Pune. Then, so 10 people came or 100 people came every month or every day. Then Nike came. Then Skechers came, right? Yeah. So now you know that I don't have to only go to Reebok or Adidas. if I go to University Road, जूता तो मुझे मिल ही जाएगा.
Correct.
Right? Because now I can go to one shop to second to third to fourth to fifth. Right? Now you have choice. I think that's very important for any industry to grow. Right?
True.
Had I been the first guy, first I had to come and teach you what I do.
Just
Right?
like the case of Ola and Uber, how they say.
Beautiful example.
Yeah.
Right? When Uber came, what did our parents say? मैं क्यों पैसा दूं पहले? नहीं आया तो? मैं तो ऐसे नीचे आऊंगे, ऐसे ऑटो वाला अभी रुक जाएगा. We used to for last 70 years, right? Now, that's the new normal.
Everyone's using it.
Correct? So, there's always a uphill task or a learning curve when you're the first. I'm not saying that in some cases we're not the first. Of course, we are coming up with new concepts, new examples, and we'll discuss this as this podcast continues. But we were not the first when it came to data and converting data into analysis. So for us, the market is already established to some degree. Of course, we're growing it.
Yeah.
But it was still easier for us because we were the fourth player in the country doing this.
Okay.
But now I'm happy and proud to say that we are the only among the four who's covering all sectors, all cities. What I mean is we're covering offices, malls, high streets, warehouses, residential and land across all metro cities plus.
Wow.
There are 8 metros in India. We'll include the latest one, Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
And then we are covering some of the state capitals. So we would cover a Lucknow, we would cover a Kochi, we would cover a Nasik, not a state capital, but Nasik. We would cover a Jaipur, right?
So how many cities in total do you have? Right now?
So for warehouses, we cover more than 30 cities,
Okay.
right? For offices, we cover about 10. Same for malls. High streets, we cover maybe 20, 25.
Okay.
Because high streets are everywhere.
Yeah.
I call them the wild mushroom, right? They go everywhere,
Yeah.
right? And housing, we are covering only 6 as of now.
Okay. Which ones are they?
So the big boys: Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune. Right now, we hopefully will do Calcutta and Ahmedabad and some others. We'll see.
So tier 1 cities mostly right now. And like you mentioned about the language problems and this, how did you finally, why did you choose these specific cities to begin with?
Look, that's where the action is. That's where the jobs are. See, okay, 1 second. I have to pause. Now, this is the place where, as an Indian, I feel pained. And I want to share my grief to everybody who's listening. America, I've studied in America, I've stayed in America, has 45 metro cities. Big cities, metropolis.
Yeah.
India has only 6 or 7. Okay? It's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
We have not spent any time, energy for creating a metropolis city. And we need to do that. Finally, something is happening in Gujarat. Let's call it the gift city.
Gift city.
Something is happening. But we need 20 more gift cities.
True.
20 more. Right? So, had I asked my kid, who was probably at that time only 10 years of age or maybe even 5, he also would have said, ye 5 mein karo pehle. That's where all the action is.
True.
That's where the malls are. That's where the people are. That's where the jobs are. That's where the offices are. Right?
And have you thought about other real estate sectors like student housing or senior estate living?
Have we thought about those? Yeah, we should think about those because they are here to stay.
Yes.
Whether it's co-living, whether it's co-working, whether it's senior living, student housing, whatever it is. But it's not deep enough for me to gather data and sell it. So I need a critical mass of operators who would want my data. Then it makes sense for us to probably start working on it. But yeah, in due course or all in good time.
So what other sectors or segments of real estate do you see that CRE Matrix might, look into?
So I think now we have our hands full. What I mean by that is,
You've got residential, commercial, industrial, all of that covered, but apart from...
Correct, but that's all under the CRE Matrix umbrella, which is completely B2B, right?
Correct.
We are helping developers understand the market better. We are helping bankers hopefully lend better. We are helping investors invest better. We're helping brokers do broking better. So all of that jazz we're doing. And we're doing it successfully for the last 7 years. We're serving more than 350 clients, all great, awesome. But then we've also started new businesses or new brands. And I think that keeps us a little busy right now. So I don't think we would want to start with a student living immediately.
Okay.
Having said that, if there's an assignment, which is also called a customized assignment or a bespoke assignment, very happy to do those. Because if you have the data, we are technically a niche, bespoke consulting company as well. Because we can help all of these different stakeholders do customized assignments.
Yeah.
So we are a product company, but we are also a project company.
Okay.
Right? So we don't say no to anybody. Like recently we're doing an assignment for a Singapore-based company who wants to understand 4 or 5 questions. Number 1, where do I open my shop in India? Can you answer this question? Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Calcutta, where? Give me demographics, give me household income, give me all of that jazz. Number 2, you identify the city. Where in that city?
Micro markets.
Is it Hinjewadi? Is it Kharadi? Is it Viman Nagar? Is it Kalyani Koregaon Park, Kalyani Nagar? Where? Mall or high street? Which mall or which high street? And finally, the most important question, what is the rent? वो तो सिर्फ हमें बता सकते हैं. That only we know, right? So, and again, I want to rub it into the world that 140 crore people live here. So if Tim Hortons even dreamt of getting out of Canada, they had to come to India.
True.
Because coffee यहीं पीने वाले हैं लोग. Nobody in Greece is going to drink coffee. Greece का population is less than what my Bombay metro is. Right?
True.
There are 100 unicorns here. There's 0 unicorn in Greece. Nothing against Greece. It's a great country, great for tourism. But I'm just saying that if retail has to flourish, if any retailer wants to flourish, they have to be in India. Period. There's no question about.
I've heard this saying that if you want to build something, India is the place for it. And if you want to, just have a good life or work-life balance, maybe then you can think about such European countries and all.
No, Europe will become a museum.
True.
Right? Europe will become a museum.
Right now, I think they've all developed so much that they don't have scope of development or that much appreciation that India has right now.
Absolutely. but I don't think I answered your question though, which is going back to United States of India, right? No, I think that's what I answered. Sorry, the one that you asked about competition. So I think I would say there are 4 or 5 things I think that we've done right.
Yeah.
Number 1, the speed at which we are able to get data, very important, right? Because when a client wants information, they want it yesterday.
Correct.
Right? So that's very important. Speed at which you can get it. Second, how comprehensively you can cover it. Yeah. Third, how beautifully or smartly you can analyze it. Because it's the same data, but a developer might look at it differently, a broker might look at it differently, an investor differently, a banker differently. Don't forget we're a product company.
Yeah.
So we have been able to enhance, improve our product in a way it can cater to all of these stakeholders, right? So fast, comprehensive, how quickly can you or beautifully can you analyze it? How nicely in a dashboard can you offer it?
Yeah.
So that it becomes easier for people to understand.
Yeah.
Right? So think of it like that beautiful thali, right? हम सब थाली खाना खाते हैं. We all love Gujarati thalis or even Marwadi thalis. So one is, what is the content? Second, how fast can you give it to me? Third, how beautifully you've arranged it. Right? Everything matters.
Yeah.
Right? Because you eat with your eyes first. So, and last but not the most important is how well can you service your client. We're just nice people, so they like us.
Apart from this, what about accuracy?
नहीं, वो तो चलो government से data ले रहे हैं, accuracy है. So that I won't comment on. But yeah, very important. Given that it's coming from the source, then it's accurate only. I mean, nobody can dispute it.
So speaking about accuracy of data, do you have any specific systems or processes in place at CRE Matrix?
Always. Because that's very important. If you're going to stick your neck out and you're going to tell the client that my data is comprehensive and accurate, you better make sure that it's what you claim, right? So there are obviously systems in place. Again, I don't want to go back to the Marathi and the Gujarati and the Bengali and all of those. They have to be converted. So you have to check because you're teaching the machine, right? But you have to check whether the machine has done right or not.
Yeah.
Now you can't do all of it. Agar wo karna pada, to you'll have to hire the Indian Army.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So you have to make sure that there are at least some QC systems in place to make sure that the machine is doing the right job. Based on some of those mistakes the machine is doing, you teach the machine back. And that's the whole machine learning process. You know, it's a never-ending loop. It's like you teach and teach and teach and teach. The more you teach, the machine does a better job.
Yeah.
Right? So QC has to be in place. And QC is important for everything, but more important for residential because it's huge volume. Right? Not so much for malls. Not so much for offices. Remember we did the math.
Yeah.
10 malls in Pune, maybe 10,000 offices in Pune, but lakhs of homes in Pune. So for those, since those documents are more complex, we don't use machines.
Okay.
We do it manually only. Right?
So-
We literally read the documents, we understand what is written there, and then we extract data from them. But फिर भी QC तो करना ही पड़ेगा, right? Because it's still a human reading it, and there could be fatigue. So QC is critical, and then so that's on the data part. Then when we do the analysis or make those charts and graphs and all of those things to make it easier for our client, which we are very proud of, and we say that we are the best in the industry to do that, तब भी करना पड़ता है, right? You have to be very clear. See, what happens is for you it's second nature, right? For a doctor, he feels, अरे इसमें क्या है? This is so easy to understand. But for the person in front of you, he's not a doctor. So he doesn't understand language. So you have to make sure you keep it simple, break it down into the simplest denominator or the lowest denominator so that it becomes easier and palatable for the reader.
True.
Right? So these are important things.
Speaking about that, even when it comes to IGR data and all, is there a particular way or few parameters, like how do you make it easier for a developer to read an IGR data?
No. So we don't want them to read.
Okay.
Right? If they want to, they have the time,
Correct.
they can. But they are paying us for the analysis that we bring to the table.
Yes.
Not a data dump. That anybody could do. An intern could do it. Of course, minus the scale part of it, minus the language part of it, he could still do it. The analysis is what the big crux is because he doesn't have the time. He's expert in what he is expert in, which is making buildings, making projects, planning them, blah, blah, blah. Right? We help them to do what he's not good at, what he's come to us for. Right?
So which parameters do you think a developer should have a look at before starting a project?
Oh God, there are too many. We'll talk about residential.
Yeah,
because I always say residential is the biggest brother, right? Does a developer know how many apartments get sold in Hinjewadi every year? Maybe he has a hunch. But my answer is no. Does he know how many of those are 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 beds? Right? So let's assume Hinjewadi sells 10,000 homes every month. Just an example. Out of which how many are 1, 2 and 3? Believe me, he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
In 1 bedroom and then 2 bedroom, what sizes sell the most? Is it 500 square feet, 550, 600, 700, 800? Trust me, he doesn't know. Which projects have sold better than the other projects? Because it's a competitive world, right? So there are hundreds of developers building in Pune. Who is selling faster than the other? And why? Believe me, he doesn't know. Right? If he doesn't know these things, one more thing. Who's living in that zone? Do you know? Are Marathi people living in Hinjewadi? Or Gujaratis? Or Bengalis? Or Jains? You don't know. And the most favorite question, price, velocity, and lastly, what is the age profile of buyers? Because if they are young, what they're going to do all day is Insta. If they're not so young, then they probably do Facebook. And if they're not even that young or oldish, then they'll spend more time on the telecalling. What I'm trying to say is we can help them with all of these answers. Not one, not fifth, not 10th, all of them. Right? So that's what we do. And that's what we get paid for.
So AI is the new buzzword which is going on. So what is CRE Matrix doing in AI right now?
So AI is too large.
Yeah.
Right? So if I were to bring AI back to more simple forms or to machine learning, then I think we're doing that all the time, every day. Correct. Right? Because we're teaching the machine to learn to do a better job. That's also like sort of artificial intelligence, if I may say so. So that's the most important thing. And then, we're not teaching the machine to only do the language conversions. We're also teaching the machine to be able to find those errors.
In future...
in like I'll give an example. A typical office rental agreement.
Yeah.
When you take a space on rent, the escalation is 15% every 3 years. This is the usual norm. Of course, there could be some changes depending on the negotiation. A gentleman who's analyzing this document might not read it properly, or the scan could not be of good quality, and he accidentally wrote in Excel, instead of 15%, he actually wrote 50%. Maybe instead of 15, he wrote 50, or instead of 15, he wrote 115. So the system will not allow this to progress. It will throw a alarm, like a red alert, that there's something wrong. You can still overwrite it. Baba, hey, 115, right? So go ahead. But system will say this looks abnormal. So it will throw an alarm. So that's what you teach systems to be able to get smarter.
And from your first year to now, how accurate is your data, would you say, in terms of percentage?
No. When you say from the
your first year
of operations, when we started
yeah.
to what it is now,
Yes.
oh God, oh much better. If we were 80-85% accurate, because we see, when you start also you have to be accurate. You cannot say that the जो पहला client उसको हमने बेवकूफ बनाया, अभी 100th client is good. No, that's not true. But if we were 85% there, now we are 95% there.
Okay.
So it wasn't that we started at 50%, right? We were still at 85 when we started, and we were pretty vocal about it. That this is what our accuracy or this is what our comprehensiveness would be, right? So that needle has moved, but the needle was already pretty up there when we started.
So it's continuing to move up and up.
Well, 95 can go to 96, 97, 98. I don't think it'll go above that, because real estate is complex.
Yeah.
It's a complex document, and it's not standardized. Unlike in America, where it's quite standardized, in India it is not standardized because our wonderful lawyers who charge a bomb for their expertise, and they should, because it's their expertise. So they write the document differently. So a DLF document versus an embassy document versus a brigade document or a Godrej document will be very different from each other.
Correct.
Right? So just because you've read one doesn't mean that you've standardized all the others. So it's every day is a new learning for the team, right? Because it's not standardized.
Yeah. And apart from all of these ventures in CRE Matrix, you're covering so many industries. You have another venture which is a brand which is called IndexTap. Could you say something about that?
So CRE Matrix will always be my favorite, because that's where we started. That's our bread and butter. But IndexTap is very, very close to my heart because of 2-3 very strong reasons. Sabse pehle, IndexTap is a mobile app. It's one of its kind mobile app which you can download on your phone. Hear me very carefully. And it is free. So it is a free app. It covers Bombay, Pune, Bangalore as of now. Of course, we do cover Nasik. When I say Bombay, I mean Thane included, right? The MMR.
Yeah.
And you can go and search for any residential tower. We'll talk about Pune because we're in Pune today. We'll talk about Pune. Go and search for any Pune building built in the last 10 years. Okay? Search for it. And it will tell you the unit number, the wing, A wing, B wing, C wing, name of the project, area of the apartment, and the price at which it was sold or leased.
Oh.
For free. So if you are living in Yo Pune, you're living in Ishan's project at Magarpatta, you want to know what your neighbor has paid, you can click on it and exactly know इस unit में किस price पे apartment बिका है या rent हुआ है. We're not sharing names of anybody for massive privacy compliance. That's not the idea. The idea is to bring the transparent data in the hands of the home buyer. This is my favorite sentence, and I say this in every forum I go to. An average Hindustani buys one apartment in his lifetime, if he's lucky. Average Hindustani. Okay? If he's lucky, I'm going to say that again. If he's lucky, one house in his lifetime. You cannot make a mistake. You cannot buy, it's expensive. 5 years back, 10 years back, there was no data only. हाउ डू आई नो कि मैंने महंगा खरीदा कि सस्ता खरीदा है फ्रॉम माई नेबर, राइट? बीवी अलग जूते मार रही है जब पता चल गया तो. So today we are giving you it for free in your hands so that when you buy a house or rent a house, you do it with extreme transparency. That's Index Tap. Therefore, when you bring this word trust na Ashwin in people's hand, and then people will gossip about you for a lifetime, right? They'll gossip over smoking, they'll gossip over daru, they'll gossip over tea, they'll gossip over coffee, they'll gossip about you because you've solved a big pain in their life.
Yeah.
आपका किसी दोस्त ने घर खरीदा, ओह अश्विन आने मैंने खरीदा 5 करोड़ का घर, अच्छा जरा देखता हूँ जरा. Open the app and see it. Right? That's what Index Tap is. And therefore we get so many people reaching out to us on our app, on our website, saying that boss आपके पास इतना डेटा है, आप ही दिला दो ना घर. आपसे कौन negotiate कर सकता है?
Yeah.
Right? When you have so much data, who can negotiate with you? When I did my office leasing in Bombay, the gentleman, he's a senior gentleman, he lives in London, Gujarati bhai apna, and I told him, sir, रेंटल का डिस्कशन बाद में करते हैं, पहले ये बताते हैं हम धंधा क्या करते हैं. हाँ. पहले आपको मैं समझा था हम करते क्या हैं. सो आई टोल्ड हिम ये पूरी बिल्डिंग में जितने भी ऑफिसेस भाड़े पे गए हैं सब मेरे पास है. सो आई नो एग्जैक्टली कौन कितना भाड़ा दे रहा है, कौन कितना एस्केलेशन दे रहा है, कौन कितना कैम दे रहा है, सब किसने कितना डिपॉजिट दिया, सब कुछ मेरे पास है. यू नो व्हाट द जेंटलमैन सेज, अभिषेक व्हेन यू नो मोर देन मी, यू टेल मी व्हाट यू विल पे, जस्ट बी फेयर. Because he had nothing to say. He had nothing to negotiate. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's the power of data. And we wanted that data not to be only available with our B2B clients. We wanted it to be with our B2C clients as well. But B2C क्या है ना अश्विन, बहुत difficult market है. उसके लिए I'll have to hire विराट कोहली. You know फिर वो IPL पे और ये भी इंडिया न्यूजीलैंड के मैच में मुझे भी ऐड लगाना पड़ेगा. उतना पैसा नहीं मेरे पास. So therefore we are doing it धीरे धीरे. थोड़ा बहुत आई डू ऑन लिंक्डइन, थोड़ा बहुत आपके साथ पॉडकास्ट कर लिया, लोगों को बता दिया. सो वी वांट पीपल टू नो, एंड इफ यू हैव फ्रेंड्स टेल देम. एवरीबडी हु इज लिसनिंग शुड टेल देम अबाउट इंडेक्स टैप. सच अ इजी नेम, इंडेक्स एंड टैप ऑन द फोन. दैट्स द नेम. योर इंडेक्स फिंगर एंड टैप ऑन द फोन. वी डू दैट राइट व्हेन यू यूज द फोन.
Was that the reason behind the name?
So there were 2 reasons. One was this, and second, the data is coming from Index 2, na? The documents.
Yeah.
So we just captured both.
Okay.
But
good thing.
That is the intention, Ashwin. The only intention is to bring that power in the hands of the home buyer.
No, I was going to ask you that you've kept it free for everyone to get this extent of data. Otherwise, someone else would have charged a normal buyer something for it.
But उसमें मुझे कितना मिलेगा? Few hundreds, few thousands, few lakhs. उसकी जगह मैं आपके पास आऊँगा ना, बायर को मैं सिखाऊंगा, पहले वो कच्ची कैरी को पकाऊंगा, फिर मैं उसको आपके पास लेके आऊँगा, आपका घर बिकवाऊंगा और आपसे 2% लेके जाऊंगा. So then you're happy because your home got sold.
Yeah.
I'm happy because you'll pay me. And he's happy because he got a house from you at the most transparent manner.
Yeah.
Win, win, win. Best. That's the best model.
Correct. So it'll primarily act like a brokerage house.
It is a broker. Index Tap is a broker with data. And very soon, before Diwali, we're going to launch HDE. Acronym में भी मोदी जी acronym बहुत बोलते हैं ना, तो मुझे भी मजा उनका catch up करना पड़ता है. तो it's called Home Data Expert. If you bought a car, a lot of influencers YouTube पे देखते होगे ना?
Yeah.
ऐसी गाड़ी है, comparison of cars, engine, exterior, interior, all that jazz. We are starting that for houses.
Wow.
So if you're a house buyer and you're confused, which you mostly are, right? You've gone to 20 projects and you're scratching your head. Oh God, इसमें ये अच्छा था, इसके बाल अच्छे थे, इसके नाक छोटा था, इसका ये अच्छा था, इसमें parking थी, all that jazz. We will bring that all together and give you advice. And advice again, which house to buy, उसमें क्या amenities हैं, क्या नहीं हैं, basically a comparison, and then finally the price. What is the right price to buy from this developer? Because this is what he has sold. This is what he has achieved. तो इससे कम नहीं करेगा वो. So don't go and honestly haggle with him and waste his time, waste your time. क्योंकि बायर क्या करता है? पहले खुद आता है, फिर बीवी को लाता है, फिर भाई को लाता है, फिर दोस्त को लाता है, फिर बोलता है नहीं पापा को लाऊंगा. नहीं, think about this. He will waste 6 months of yours and your team. That's cost. Every time he comes, there's an air conditioning cost, pani pila uska cost, Coca-Cola pila uska cost, right? If you can reduce that haggling by giving data to him, saves everybody's time. That's the intent.
No, I think this is very much in the need of the hour, because when you speak about cars or phones, we analyze so much. इसका ये specification है, phone में इतना RAM है. But घर की जब बात आती है, we don't have a checklist or the things to see कि क्या क्या चीजें रखनी चाहिए.
अच्छा चलो, मैं again going back to my एक हिंदुस्तानी एक घर खरीदता है.
हाँ.
Right? You're super young, so you're a bad example. But how many cell phones have you changed even at this super young age? 4. And the next 50 years when you live, how many phones do you think you'll change in the next 50 years?
Probably around.
Every 4 years, at least 20 phones?
Yeah.
Okay, how many cars?
5.
5?
6. Yeah.
Right? फिर भी इतना रिसर्च कर रहे हो उनके ऊपर.
Correct.
घर जब एक ही खरीदना है तो उस पर तो रिसर्च करो पहले. राइट? 1 करोड़ का घर खरीदना है, यू कैन एटलीस्ट गिव 2,000 रुपया टू somebody who can tell you the right information.
Very much.
I rest my case. That's the point.
So after getting all of this data, which industry within real estate do you see has the most growth in the next 5 years?
Oh, 100%. How do you do this? How my team taught me how to do it. What is this? W. Warehouses. That's my biggest darling in India today. I'm not saying residential is not good. I'm not saying office is not good. I'm not saying malls नहीं है. मैं बताया ना, ग्रीस के लोग नहीं है, यहीं पे खोलना पड़ेगा retail. Right? Superb. But warehousing is a rock star. अश्विन, तेरे में तू कितना भी दम है, you, your friends, सबको क्रेडाई को पूरे सबको बुला लो. आप जितने भी warehouse बना सकते हो बना लो. They will get leased. They will get sold. Why? Because when I was a teenager, I couldn't get rasgulla at 12 o'clock at night in my house. But you will sit in your pajamas watching a bloody James Bond movie and call for ice cream. And it'll ting ting. रात में 1 बजे भी तेरे को ice cream मिलेगा. Where is it coming from?
Warehouses.
It's coming from those dark stores. It's coming from those warehouses. And warehousing is not just 4 walls and 1 bloody roof. Warehousing has become specialized because it has to keep the fish cold. It has to keep the ice cream super cold. It has to keep the rasgulla soft. It has to keep the fruits alive. मुझे याद है जब मैं कॉलेज में था, नासिक से अनियन निकले. नासिक इज अ मास्टर ऑफ अनियंस ना. वो बॉम्बे पहुंचते पहुंचते खराब हो गए. ऐसे कैसे होता है? इट्स 180 किलोमीटर्स. 180 किलोमीटर नासिक से अनियन निकले, खराब हो गए. व्हाट नॉनसेंस. दैट मीन्स दे वर नॉट कैरीड प्रॉपर्ली, दे वर नॉट केप्ट इन अ करेक्ट टेम्परेचर, और दे वर नॉट केप्ट इन अ वेयरहाउस करेक्टली. All of that is changing. So warehousing is the next, that's the age. इतने warehouse बनने वाले हिंदुस्तान में कि it's not even funny. अच्छा, एक और चीज़. I complained about Bombay, India having only 7 or 8 cities. Warehousing is everywhere.
Yeah.
Warehousing is, how many warehouses in Gujarat? How many ports in Gujarat? Warehousing is in Chennai, it's in Bombay, it's in all of these big cities. But it's also in Ludhiana. It's also in Chandigarh. It is also in Siliguri. Correct?
Yeah.
That's the beauty. So Ashwin, you've called a data analyst at your podcast, so I have to share some data. अभी 1 घंटे से कोई data की बात नहीं की है. So we were on warehouses. The total office grade A space in India is approximately 850 million square feet. Okay? Warehousing today is about 250 million. Right? So 250 million, 850 million. Now mark my words, in the next 15 years, these two railway tracks, or whatever they are, railway tracks don't meet, right? They never merge.
Yeah.
That's what we've learned from bachpan se. This one will cross it. Warehousing इतने fast बनेंगे और पूरे country में बनेंगे that the 250 will, in the sense it will keep growing, and by the time this 850 reaches, let's say 1.5 billion, this will cross it. It will be that fast. Breakneck speed.
So within warehousing, is there a specific market or specific state that you think has a lot of potential?
So my favorite place, which is today, tomorrow, and for the near foreseeable future, is Delhi city or NCR. Because Delhi has always been the trading hub of 5 states. Rajasthan, MP, UP, Himachal, Haryana. क्योंकि none of them have a seaport. Everything has to come to Delhi and then get distributed to these states. So Delhi is the boss when it comes to logistics and warehouses. Of course, they all come to Gujarat or a JNPT, but then they don't go all the way to these 5 states individually. They all go to a central place and then they get distributed.
Yeah.
Which is why Delhi is the big boss right now for warehousing, and I think in the foreseeable future it will remain the big boss, right? And then you've got other baby cousins. You've got a Bombay, you've got a Pune, you've got a Chennai, you've got a Calcutta, because they all have big ports, right? So all the saman from the world comes there.
So if you had 1 CR to invest in real estate right now, where would you do it?
1 CR,
Yes.
that's too less for real estate. It's too small, so just put them in REITs, right? But if I were to add a zero in it, 10 CR,
10 CR.
then, good question. If I don't have a house, 10 ईयर तो बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगा घर के लिए. वैसे भी मोदी जी ने उस पर कैप लगा दिया 10 ईयर का. But I would still buy, if I don't have a house, I will buy a house first. Right? And this is, I'm assuming, for the young Indian.
Yeah.
Right? घर जरूरी तो लड़की नहीं मिलेगी. Right? So you have to buy a house. If you already have a house, then you've got a lot of options. My most favorite would be buy a shop. Because I'm a big, huge fan of retail. And I said that earlier in the podcast, so I'm going to repeat again. Right? Retail is going to rock in India. So shop is very important. If you still have some money left, maybe you can buy a warehouse or an office.
Okay.
Right? Otherwise, if you are a risk-averse person, please put the money in the REIT. Somebody's managing your money. They're already pre-leased assets, clean assets, built assets, low risk, and giving you good yields.
So where do you think the rental yield is the highest? Office spaces, warehousing, or would you say specifically retail?
If it's ready assets,
Yes.
then I would say my favorite, well, warehousing is still a new baby. So we're going to wait for some more time for it to mature, right? We are going to wait for more of the Walmarts and the Amazons and some homegrown Zeptos and Blinkits and all of them to come. So thoda aane do aur. We are only at 250 million, right? Office is already 850 million. But I would still pick, if I have to give a pecking order, well, I want to give warehousing, retail and offices, but I would then probably say retail, offices and warehouses, just because warehousing are new,
Yeah.
right? लोगों को अभी तक समझ में नहीं आया है, right? It's not the talk of the town yet amongst the commoners. The developers and the analysts and the media is talking about it.
Yeah.
But the commoners को अभी तक समझ में नहीं आया है. So they are still, because high street and offices have been there for a while. So there's more comfort there. Therefore, retail, office and warehousing. But if you are a smart, seasoned investor, then I'll flip it. Then warehousing, retail and then office.
So if I ask you this question 10 years later, you'll say warehousing first?
देखो, 10 years later, I mean, I can't do crystal ball gazing.
True.
Neither am I McKinsey who writes a 50-year report. साला जिंदा है कि नहीं देखने के लिए पता नहीं. Right? Sorry for the language. But yeah, I think India is going to see so much change in the next 10 years that it's difficult for most people to comprehend, right? Simple thing like if 5 years back I told you that index tab or something would be there where you can just click on a app and figure out what your neighbor is paying as rent, you would have laughed at me. You would have said I'm drunk. But it's happened. It's not even a pipe dream I'm talking about. It's happened. The app is alive.
Yeah.
Right? So 10 years is too far out. I don't know. बहुत चीज होने वाला है हिंदुस्तान में because India is young, is getting younger, and it's supremely digitized. Right? Everybody wants to just do everything on the phone. तो हो सकता है you might just do some token money transaction of a house on the phone. Why not?
Yeah. That's
Young people buy cell phones on the phone. Amazon से phone खरीदता है कोई क्या? They buy.
yeah.
How much is a phone for? Nothing less than 50,000. So if you can pay 50,000 rupees online using a credit card swipe or a UPI transaction on the phone, 50,000 तो token भी हो सकता है ना घर का. So I think it can happen.
Very true, and I think that is the future कि घर बैठे बैठे just have a look
नहीं side visit हम करवा लेंगे. We'll do that.
That would be great. So speaking about warehousing and industrial also, any specific industry or I mean any specific market for shops or retail where you would, first go to?
Oh, wow. Any young city.
Okay.
I like Pune.
So would you prefer a tier 2 city or a tier 1 city?
For retail,
Yes.
no. You have to go where the population is large. So it
Okay.
can be a Delhi, it can be a Pune. Young, large population is the place to be for retail. When it comes to warehouse, it has to be a place where maximum trading happens, right? Which is why I mentioned NCR.
Yeah.
Or it could be a place where there's a port,
Like
or
Gujarat.
a port and an airport. So that's my city, Bombay, which has got the biggest port, one of the biggest port, and one of the biggest airports, right?
Yeah.
The new airport which will get built.
Yeah.
So JNPT, the port, and the new Navi Mumbai Panvel airport are just probably few kilometers away from each other. Now that together can be a big magnet, not only for jobs but for warehouses, for everything else, right? So own is to own. And then of course India's found the gold mine, the port next to Boisor, right? So now Bombay will have port on both sides.
Yeah.
One is on the Panvel, Navi Mumbai side, and the other side then towards Ahmedabad, right? And I hope people have read about it. 75,000 crores will be spent in making that port. Of course, it will get built over 10 to 15 years. But more important is, it's a deep sea port. And all the existing ports of India, this is what I've read, jitna wo log cubic, million, trillion, whatever tons they do business, that port can alone do that much. Can you believe it? That's like a Kohinoor that India has found.
Very true.
Right? So imagine the jobs that can get created, not only while building it, but after building, managing it, right? And therefore the need for more homes and more high streets, warehouses, offices, everything will culminate towards that magnet, right? We haven't spoken about infrastructure so much. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Favorite thing. मुझे किसी ने पूछा था in some event which I was invited to, they asked me, what is it that you want from Modi ji if at all he wins? This was pre-election. अगर वो जीतते हैं या कोई भी जीतता है, चलो उनकी बात नहीं करते हैं. Anybody who wins, what do you want from them as a real estate analyst or observer? I said only two things. Actually, I think in the forum I said only one, but I'll say two here. One is infrastructure. Make more roads, make more bridges, make more ports, make more airports, make more metro, right? And second is RERA. Implement RERA all India and make more infrastructure. बाकी सब मेरे developer दोस्त कर लेंगे. They'll make the homes, they'll make the warehouses, they'll make everything. Just make sure that you make the roads and the bridges and the ports and everything else, right? Infrastructure is the biggest boon to real estate.
Agreed.
I can take 20 examples all over the world, but my most favorite example is Delhi and Hong Kong. Hong Kong is reclaimed. They keep reclaiming all the time, right? Very expensive real estate, by the way.
Yeah.
Hong Kong
One
real
of the
estate
most
is
expensive.
ridiculously expensive, right? They made new territories. It takes more than 1 hour to come from there to CBD Hong Kong, but by metro, in the comforts of air conditioning. So you can live there in an affordable home and still commute to the CBD to do your job. That's infra. London Tube,
Yeah.
right? We need that in our metro cities. Delhi, superb example. Delhi metro. किसी ने मैंने को मुझे अभी exactly याद नहीं आ रहा है. Many years back जब वो metro बनना शुरू हुआ था, मतलब 20-25 years back, they said, अरे इतना बड़ा network, क्या जरूरत है बनाने की, इतना खर्चा, what nonsense. They said ये तो कभी recovery नहीं होगा. Delhi metro is such a success story. It has recovered and become profitable faster than any metro in the world.
Wow.
Leave alone Singapore, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, London तो चलो बहुत टाइम में बना. The London Tube is obviously the क्या बोलते हैं, भीष्म पितामह of metros, right? But Delhi, what profitability in record time.
So infrastructure is key to real estate.
Infra के बिना real estate cannot boom. And for even developers,
Yes.
right? If you make infra, that much land becomes available to develop.
Correct.
Because people can go and stay there, live there.
Even with metros, for developers also you get more FSI. It's easier for people to commute also. So of course it definitely helps.
100%. कोई डाउट ही नहीं उसमें. चलो FSI की तो बात नहीं करेंगे, वो तो प्रॉफिट भी डेवलपर की हो गई, और उस पर बात नहीं करेंगे. बट द पॉइंट इज इफ वी स्टे टू द होम बायर, राइट,
Yeah.
the more land becomes available, the more affordability stays, because you can then commute from far areas to the city, and वहाँ तो सस्ता ही होगा. City is all cramped.
Yeah.
It's like just so simple.
So there is this big question of rent versus buy.
हाँ.
What do you think about that?
Oh, मैं क्या बोलूँ? All the young guys want to only rent. बोले कि अच्छा, for 2-3 things I think. One, they're not married to any city.
Yeah.
Especially the tech guys. Developers के पास तो अभी कोई चांस नहीं. वो जो सिटी में है उनको तो वहाँ बनाना ही पड़ेगा. So they unfortunately are a little tied up. But the tech guys are not. I not only just tech. All of these, the world which is digital world, they're not tied to any city. They can be anywhere. So renting a house gives them the flexibility.
Yeah.
Right? आज मैं पूना में हूँ, मैं 5 साल को असाइनमेंट करूँगा, कल मैं बॉम्बे चले जाऊँगा, परसों मैं I'll go to London. Why do I have to be tied up? So that's a great flexibility. I did say that घर खरीदना जरूरी है, लड़की नहीं मिलेगी. I remember when I was JLL head of research, we used to say कि चाइना में बहुत है. You know that if you don't have a house, you don't get the girl.
Okay.
Right? I think इंडिया में बोलते नहीं, पर है.
Definitely.
So I would still say that you should have a house of your own. But yeah, youngsters, if married couples, dinks as they're called, double income, no kids, and they want to be supremely flexible, and the world is their home, not just India is their home, not just Pune is their home. So then,
They can.
yeah, please don't buy a house. मजा करो, rent it out, and please appreciate that. अगर rent is what 2.5%, जो हम बोलते हैं rental yield is 2%. तो अगर मुझे 1 करोड़ का घर खरीदना है, मेरा rent will be only 2% of that annually. तो divide by 12 करोगे तो फिर whatever, correct? So it's so cheap. तो ठीक है.
But with the appreciation, don't you feel that घर खरीदना would be better?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I would always say have a house, right? And I would also say that have a house in your hometown. Don't start getting creative कि you know I've got financial freedom. बहुत मेरे पास पैसा आ गया तो चलो अभी मैं दुबई में घर खरीदूंगा, मैं बॉम्बे में लूँगा, मैं दिल्ली में लूँगा, मैं बैंगलोर में लूँगा. अरे नहीं होता यार, नहीं होता है. You know, you have to travel, see them, make sure registration, ये वो. A house buying process is a process, right? It's not वो you know रसगुल्ला आ गया, ऐसा नहीं होता है. So it's a process. So buy in your hometown, buy in your native maybe where your parents are still there. So do that first. If you have financial freedom and you have money, yeah, please buy a villa, buy something in Goa.
So अभी work from home का काफी culture आ गया है.
Yes.
Do you think this will have a negative impact on commercial real estate market?
No. People have asked this question to me all the time, and the answer is 100% no.
Why no?
अरे जो co-working बनाएगा वो कहाँ बनाएगा? ऑफिस में. One second. You have to make a building ना.
Yeah.
Then he'll take some space there, no? So then building तो बनानी पड़ेगी ना.
हाँ.
What you're asking me is work from home, which is hybrid or 100%.
100%.
नहीं तो 100% तो many companies have come back ना. Amazon तो US से इंडिया में आ जाते हैं, but Amazon CEO has just made a statement 3 days back, quit or return to work. I don't know if you read that or not. Just 3 days back.
Okay.
Right? Quit or return to work. Right? So अमेरिका में तो ज़्यादा कर दिया वो लोग ने. They went overboard. They started abusing work from home. Right? But it can happen in India also. Right? People start abusing this opportunity or this perk of working from home. Assuming that's not happening, I think India will find a sweet spot with hybrid, wherein some people will some days come and some days don't come.
It's already begun. Like
Correct.
2-3 days you work in office, the other
Correct,
2 days.
but the shift is towards return back. Ghar wapsi, you know the famous. So I think it will happen, and for that to happen, even if it's hybrid, you need an office space, no?
Yeah.
Office building, sorry, not office space, office building. But co-working is here to stay big time, and I'll again share some statistics. 10 साल पहले, out of 10 साल पहले, what was the office space? आज 850 million है, so 10 years back was let's say 600 million. Okay, At that time, their co-working ka occupied space was 1%. Co-working operators occupied 1% of the 7 million.
Okay. And now?
10% of the 850 million. You see the difference?
Yeah.
Right? So they are here to stay because they offer you flexibility. What I mean by flexibility? I am a startup company. I have 10 employees today. I can open space.
Yes.
If God is kind to me, I grow, I become 20 next year, I can take space. Right?
Yeah.
I cannot plan for 50 and start spending money as a startup company today, right? So that's flexibility. The amenities. In my office, I can give you a TV to watch the India-Pakistan match. You know, I like that. I like saying that. India stop ho jata hai na, wo match hota hai to. I can give you bean bag.
Yeah.
But I can't give you table tennis and chess table and carom. I can't give you everything, na. Jagah chahiye na uske liye. But a co-working space will give you because it's all shared by everybody else, right? They'll give you coffee, they'll give you tea, they'll give you printer, they'll give you fan, they'll make sure the AC is working, they'll give you security, they'll give you a reception. All of that can happen shared between everybody. वो मैं नहीं दे पाऊंगा. That's number 2. And the convenience. So flexibility, convenience, and these amenities, all of that put together is a great positive of flex spaces. So they are here to stay. But saying कि flex के वजह से offices नहीं बनेंगे and लोग offices नहीं लेंगे, possible ही नहीं है. So what's the GDP of India?
Over 3 trillion.
So 3.5 बोलते हैं. We'll settle at 4. Round figure easy to calculate.
Yeah.
America is 7 times bigger than us. Okay? So 26, 27, 28 trillion. We are at 850 million square feet. They are at 7,500 million square feet of office space. Correct? And America has been advocating or allowing work from home way before we even dreamt of work from home.
Yeah.
Right? तो कैसे पहुंचे वो लोग 7,000 million?
Correct.
Because of the growth of the nation, right? So अगर हम 4 पे हैं, वो 25, 26 पे हैं, we'll also reach there, no? Somewhere we'll reach, no? As we are growing, we are also growing at 8-9%. The so-called fastest growing nation in the world. So if your GDP is growing, that means your businesses are growing. They're contributing more to the exchequer, which means you're creating more jobs. So you need more offices.
Yeah.
तो उस पे तो कोई debate ही नहीं है. The question is the nature of the office. Will it be my office versus your office? Or will we all find the comfort to be in a flex space where we get all these amenities and the flexibility or whatever? But office तो चाहिए ना बाबा. ये तो बैठ इधर. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. And sir, since you're in Pune right now, and Pune has been selling the most number of units in the past couple of years across India, how do you see the growth of Pune in the next 4 to 5 years?
Since I'm from Bombay,
Yeah.
मुझे तो आज तक समझ में नहीं है कि Pune, why is it selling so many homes? Okay, ऐसा तो नहीं कि you're producing more babies. There's something is seriously. Then we actually analyzed because we work with developers in Pune all the time. One of the biggest reasons is affordability. बॉम्बे में अगर आपको घर खरीदना है तो जिस जगह में मैं बैठा हूँ ना, वही जगह एक 5 लाख रुपए की है. राइट? पुणे में दिस माइट बी 1/10 द प्राइस.
Correct.
So more people can buy a house. Okay. 20 years back, Pune was called what? That pensioners paradise. ऐसे बहुत सारे नाम थे Pune के. Oxford of the East. ऐसे अजीब अजीब नाम थे. Which means people studied here and worked in Bombay. They all ran away. Then jobs started getting created here. Right? So people studied here and stayed here. So therefore you needed more homes and therefore they are selling as well. So my favorite examples are affordability, the growth of Pune job market or the IT or the big boom that happened to Pune, and last, which is sort of hidden, and I don't think people talk about it much, but it's very critical. People who bought houses in Bombay, and again when they achieved financial freedom, right? All of them wanted to have a house in Pune, right? So the original Pune, for lack of better words, if I can use the whole housing frenzy, the original was also fueled by Bombay investors, right? And therefore you have a lot of rental market here as well. ऐसा नहीं कि लोग घर खरीद रहे हैं, वो तो खरीद ही रहे हैं, वो तो दिख ही रहा है. 1 lakh homes being sold, highest in India. But there's also a big rental market in Pune because there's a lot of students in Pune. There's a lot of young professionals in Pune who start salaries at 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs, right? They can't buy a house.
Yeah.
तो rental market भी उतना ही बड़ा है, right? So I think these are the 3 reasons why Pune is doing so well.
Okay. And which tier 2, tier 3 cities do you see evolving across India in the residential market?
अरे ये सभी यही सवाल पूछते हैं. It's a $1 million question. I don't think I have all the answers. But if I have the money, I like Nasik. And I've said this multiple times. Because Nasik is equidistant to Pune from Bombay.
Yeah.
180.
Yes.
Right? The only problem that Nasik has, it doesn't have the human capital. Human capital the engineering schools that Pune has. Right? So it's not producing that many number of smart young professionals. But it's producing the best wine. It's producing the best onions. It's producing the best milk. So, if you travel from Bombay to Nasik at 60-70 kilometers per hour and you look left, you'll miss the warehouse on the right. इतने warehouse हैं उस road पे. So it's fine its own niche. Pune has done tech. That will do warehouse or something. So I'm bullish on Nasik.
Okay.
I love Gift City. I absolutely love Gift City. It reminds me of Singapore to some degree. उस city में आप गड्ढा नहीं खोद सकते. You cannot dig a hole because the city is built on an underground tunnel.
Oh.
Every services from the water to the air to the fiber optic, everything is underground. Seriously, you should go to see it. There are tunnels inside where those big dumpers and all of them can go, clean up everything, and you don't have to dig a single hole. अपने बॉम्बे में, पुणे में तो कुछ भी हुआ तो पहले होल होएगा, फिर पानी की पाइप फट गई, फिर फाइबर ऑप्टिक जा रहा है, फिर अंबानी जी आ गए, फिर कल अदानी जी आ गए, फिर कोई और जी आ गए, right? There is a hole everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's Gift City, right? So it's actually a beautiful smart city. जो बोलते रहते हैं ना smart city, बकवास. There's no smart city except Gift City, right? That is truly a smart city, which is why I said in the beginning, we need 20 more Gift Cities.
Wow. Sir, you're just so passionate about data and just so your energy is at an all-time high, which I've seen since you've been here as well. How do you do it? Like, are there any personal routines that you have made sure in your life throughout the years via which you stay updated and ahead of the curve?
Okay, I'm not going to give Akshay Kumar answer that I sleep at 9 and I wake up at 5. ऐसा नहीं है. I do wake up at 6 in the morning. I try to do my walk or jog or whatever. वो तो सब aside. But I think the biggest reason is I like what I do. And when you like something you do, जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि आप अगर बहुत अच्छे पेंटर हो एंड अगर वही आपका प्रोफेशन बन जाए, या आप बहुत अच्छे सिंगर हो एंड दैट ओनली बिकम्स योर प्रोफेशन. लाइक माई गॉडेस, माई गॉडेस इज लता मंगेशकर जी, राइट? आई लिटरली प्रे टू हर because for me she is the epitome of women empowerment and also epitome of somebody who swallowed her art. She became the queen of her art, right? If it's that passion or what you're doing, then your energy will always be on the high, because वो आप कभी भी वो रात में 2 बजे भी उठा के मुझे बोलोगे, I'll start talking. No, I'm serious, right? And then of course if you can bring in the elements of good people, and good people of all kinds, your clients, your own team, your friends, so then it's a great place to be, good space. So I think I draw my energy from the work I do, and the people I meet and I interact with. And last but not the least, I say this to my team all the time and I genuinely believe in it, कि हमारी company ने, and some other companies also, but obviously I feel we've done it the best, and I should say that, is we've digitized real estate, which was a very, very opaque market. Digitized it and also introduced this beautiful word called trust in real estate. मुझे इतना ज़्यादा pride है अश्विन उस बारे में, that we've done this, is that we, on a lighter note, I say that we should get a Padma Bhushan from the government of India for doing this, right? And that wakes me up in the morning every day. Wow. With this energy.
So that's your motivation.
100%.
I really hope that this digitization will soon happen in land also when it comes to real estate.
अरे चाहिए बताओ, हम आपको लाके दे देंगे, है हमारे पास. But land is a slightly crazy animal.
Yes.
Not so easy said than done.
Yes.
But yeah,
there are many issues tied to
absolutely.
and all
But
of
yeah,
that is
try
also
us.
there. This is to the government.
Yes.
Apart from that, sir, any advice you have for someone who's trying to make a career in data analytics?
Oh, data analytics. See, that's a very wide, because data is everywhere,
Yes.
right? I'm to just doing real estate data analytics.
Yes.
Of course, in the past, I've done other sectors also, but
Yeah.
that's too old. वो सब भूल जाओ अभी. So data is very wide. तो उस पर तो मैं क्या बोलूँ? Just make sure that you're doing. I personally believe that do businesses for profitability. Of course, आप business कर रहे हो, वो charity NGO नहीं चला रहे हो. But do something which can also, I don't want to sound give back to society and all that jazz, but it can make an impact. An impact somewhere, right? If you can do that and combine the business with impact to the fellow Indians or even to the world, I think that will leave a legacy behind, which will be a great thing to do, right? And it can be from in any field. It can be from pharma to real estate to clothing to anything. Like I personally have some great brands, like Raymond's, great brand, Godrej, great brand, Tata.
Yes.
I mean, we just lost him. What a brand, right? The human and the brand. So yeah. So if you can combine these, that would be my suggestion to any entrepreneur in any field, particularly in data.
Okay.
Right? Or everybody says data is a new oil.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all. For me, data is the new water. You can live without oil. Because अभी तो आ रही है ना, hydrogen cars, EV cars आ गई ना. Can you live without water?
No.
You cannot live without water. So to me, data is a new water.
Wow.
So that's my thing.
Well, sir, it was a pleasure hosting you.
It was a super pleasure listening to you and talking to you. I want to wish everybody a rocking Diwali. If you publish this before Diwali, I don't know, sorry. But I'll repeat again. I want to wish everybody a rocking Diwali and happy to come again.
Yes, absolutely. It would be my pleasure. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.